Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Well, Paddy Fitzpatrick is renowned as one of Ireland's most successful hoteliers, with the Fitzpatrick Hotels in New York being particularly famous. Paddy's legacy still lives on more than 20 years after his passing, as grandsons Joseph and Mark Scott-Lennon now manage the Fitzpatrick Castle Hotel in Killiney. In aiming to replicate their grandfather's success in the industry, the Fitzpatrick Castle Hotel has recently acquired the Woodenbridge Hotel and Lodge in Wicklow. Joseph Scott-Lennon, the new managing director of the Woodenbridge Hotel and Lodge, joins us now to tell us about this purchase and the future plans for the Fitzpatrick Group Collection. But Joseph, to start, what was it like growing up within such a strong hotel dynasty?
Good morning, Karl. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I think, our granddad in particular was like a big idol for myself, my brother and my mother. Like, he started really peeling potatoes as a kitchen porter in the Talbot in Wexford, and he worked his way up to be a group GM for the Doyle Group, and then, before starting his own hotel and turning it from 11 bedrooms to 113. So beyond that hotel in Killiney, which is still there, which myself and my brother also manage, he was just a real inspiration to think that somebody could start as a kitchen porter and end with 5 hotels as he did at the age of 70.
And what did you learn from him over the years?
I think the biggest thing that always came through, he died when I was quite young, so he's always been a bit of an absent idol in a way, but one thing that my mum always told us was that you can never really ask anybody to do something that you wouldn't be willing to do yourself. So us, as growing up as 12, 13, 14-year-olds in the castle, we were really taught to do everything and do everything and anything that was necessary. And I think that's really, stood to us in the later years, the knowledge of all the intricacies of the different roles.
And Joseph, earlier this year, your mother, Etna, announced that she was retiring from the business, with both you and Mark taking over the reins. So did you plan to initiate much change in the business in order to put your own stamps on it?
No, I think it's been quite a gradual process with my mum. She's always been very supportive of me and Mark in our roles, and has always sort of encouraged us to put our own stamp, and in a lot of ways has been okay with us making our own mistakes, and carving our own path. So, any change that we'd have, we'd nearly still consult her. She's still involved. She's still around the place. It's a family business. We'd always want it that way. She's just not working and doesn't feel the need to do the hours that she did. But I suppose change is gradual. We've just got to do what the customers want and do what the customers, do right by the customers every day, and the offering sort of follows itself then. How
do yourself and Mark share the responsibilities of managing the business?
Very much on a task-by-task basis. Myself and Mark have a standing weekly catch-up. We work slightly different hours. I'd have a lot of the operational input. Mark's very good at finances. We've gone through, he was here in the castle during the recession and multiple refinancing, and has a lot of bank experience. And for me, I've spent a lot of time on the floor and in service, and I think we dovetail quite well. We suit each other's weaknesses. Our strengths suit each other's weaknesses, and above all else, we love each other and we love our job, and those two things help us to work together and communicate well.
Of course, it's a business that requires capital investment to keep the offering fresh.
Yeah, well, we use we have a certain amount of money that's allocated every year, and we really try to keep up on our repairs and renewals, and capital expenditure at the minute for us, particularly in Killiney, was very led on energy expenditure to affect bottom line of the business that would allow us to invest more in it. But definitely those big engineering projects as such to bring sustainability into the fore and lower our consumptions and stuff are big at the minute. And then obviously our regular repairs and renewals and decorating and stuff, that's an ongoing process, and that's sort of always in the budget. And then you just got to look at every other project, whether it's a redesign of a restaurant and everything for basically at their commercial benefit on their own, and treat them as they come as their own individual projects.
Well, if you've just tuned in, I'm speaking to Joseph Scott-Lennon, the Managing Director of the Woodenbridge Hotel and Lodge. Joseph, as I mentioned at the start of the interview, Fitzpatrick Castle Hotel recently acquired the Woodenbridge Hotel and Lodge in Wicklow. What appealed to you about this particular property?
I think the synergies in tradition and family service was a massive thing. The O'Brien family are obviously here over 2 decades and have done an amazing job in growing it to its nearly 70 bedrooms today from where it was at about 12 bedrooms, if I'm correct. It's the oldest hotel in Ireland, established in 1608. we're obviously come from a historical property, we come from a family property, and I suppose it just felt like the right choice when we were looking at expansion. It felt like it really matched our own values.
And how did that acquisition come on your radar?
It wasn't actively being sold. There was an existing relationship there with the O'Briens, and it was a very organic sort of conversation that happened.
So where do you see the growth opportunities for the Woodenbridge Hotel and Lodge over the coming years?
In terms of the growth opportunities, I think it's building on existing business. There's a tremendous trade here of golf tourism, of leisure tourism. There's a lot. The Greenway is in the works in the area. Arklo's an ever-expanding townland. It's a beautiful section of the country, and I suppose it's just building on what's already here. There's great service. There's a great team that have been here, and for us, that it's the development of a great product.
And is there much of a capital investment to put into the property now?
Not immediately. I think it's like moving into a house. You wait and see, you live in it, and you see what's needed. For the minute, it'll be the capital expenditure that's year on year, and all the light renovation, and then from there on in, we'll see what's commercially viable and see what's needed, what's wanted by the customers, what's wanted by the team. That'll be a process that's sort of a wait and see.
With the creation of the Fitzpatrick Hotel Collection, is there a target number of hotels that you'd like to include in the group in the years ahead?
I don't think there's a target number of hotels, but I do think, obviously if we were to pick one, it would probably in around my granddad's 5. That would be pretty amazing. But I think the model of how you manage and operate hotels these days has completely changed. Management contracts are a big section. Developers own a lot of hotels that need to be managed, and if that's a section that we go, that would also be part of the plan. But we wouldn't just consider acquisitions. It's one of these things that it's important for us, the brand, to spread, but not necessarily to deal with only acquisitions.
And for those hotels that you'd like to acquire, what will you be looking for from them, and how do you plan to manage a growing portfolio?
What we'd be looking for them is character. The two properties that are currently now in the collection have character and have teams that care. I don't think we're a hotel group that's going to look for a glass box in the city. We want things that deliver unique experiences, people who are capable of doing that, people who love their job, and I think that would be the main driver for any sort of acquisition that we'd get, that they were unique and had character.
And overall, how would you describe the performance of the hotel industry in Ireland right now? And what are the key challenges facing hotel owners?
The performance, I think, is a little bit back on a bumper year last year. There was a lot of pent-up demand, coming out of COVID. People are travelling a lot. And I think that's seen a slight back off this year. I think that will probably go back up. People are dining a lot more, which is great. I suppose the big challenges are the rising costs. The VAT rate going from 9 to 20 is it hurts our industry. You see a lot of whatever about hotels. You see a lot of restaurants closing due to high costs. They're not insulated by room rates and having rooms on site. So it shows how close to the bone that those rises are cutting. So those things, staff retention. How do we make it an attractive industry? How do we preach the fact that we have some of the best educational institutes for Irish hospitality, like in Shannon and DIT, Waterford. There's plenty of places where people can get really well educated. There's plenty of opportunities and jobs. There's plenty of progression once in it. There's, how do we sell that message to the young people of Ireland who have always been good at talking and entertaining people? I think those two will be the big ones.
And of course, attracting and retaining staff is not just a problem in the hospitality sector, but across all sectors today. But I'm interested to find out, what is your approach to attracting and retaining staff?
I think it's enjoyment, making people enjoy their job, letting them understand that, particularly in hospitality, you have an opportunity to impact somebody's day in across maybe 200, 300 people across your threshold. That's a very unique experience. There's not many jobs that can offer you that you have an opportunity to impact people's day. There's also not many jobs that have 4, 5, 6 disciplines. So these sort of things of employee retention, I think it has to be centred in them enjoying, wanting to come to work, wanting to work in nice places, wanting to look after the people here and being able to walk in and out with a smile on their face.
With rising business costs and with increases in the minimum wage and with auto-enrolment pensions on the horizon next January, there will be a need for you to increase your rates. How confident are you that you will be able to achieve that?
I can't say I'm resoundingly confident, to be honest. We'll definitely have to take a little bit of that ourselves. But it's a hard thing to rise rates, and there's smart ways to do it. By raising just base rates as opposed to taking them on the very busy weekends, which is where people get accused of price gouging or whatever. I think that how we manage our own costs internally will be a huge part of that as well. We can't pass it all on to the customer. We've got to find our own synergies and find our own efficiencies before we go to ask the customer for extra rates.
So finally, Joseph, what are the growth plans for the Fitzpatrick Hotel Collection over the next 5 years?
I think our growth plans are first to, do right by the customer, develop offerings that people want, develop breaks and places that people want to go, to develop maybe some leads on a further expansion, but not doing it for the need of expansion, doing it for the right reasons, and as we said, to deliver unique experiences, unique Irish hospitality experiences. That'll be, I'm sure, with the 2 hotels that we have currently now, there's a lot of development in each of those. So it's not just about looking for the next thing. We're very much want to be present in our 2 communities and developing the offerings here.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Joseph Scott-Lennon, the Managing Director of the newly acquired Woodenbridge Hotel and Lodge, and we wish Joseph and Mark every success with growing the Fitzpatrick Group Collection.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.